So today's video is going to be a little different. I don't know if it's the February heat or just the pace of everything lately, but it's just felt full on. Work has been demanding, the headlines have been relentless, and sometimes it feels like the only stories that travel fast are the heavy ones. So I've made an executive decision. Today we're not doing the usual news cycle, not because it doesn't matter, but because I think we could all just use a breather. There's so much good going on in this world, and sometimes we just need to pause long enough to actually see it. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. And look, I'm not going to be giving anything away, but be sure to stick with me until the very end. Now let's get into it. The Global Solar Council reported that 2025 was Africa's fastest year of solar growth ever, with installations jumping by roughly 50% compared to the year before. Now that's 4 gigawatts of new capacity added across the continent, enough electricity to power well over 1 million average homes. So no pledges, no climate conference speeches. These are real panels connected to real grids, helping real families. And it's not just Africa. In China, wind and solar capacity has now overtaken fossil fuel capacity on the national grid for the first time, a symbolic moment for the world's largest energy market. Meanwhile, in India, a state whose name I can't pronounce recently crossed 1 gigawatt of installed solar capacity on its own, which is proof of what is possible here. When a single state can generate that much clean power, the shift feels real. But beyond the numbers, here's the remarkable part. Humankind is increasingly running modern economies by capturing light from a star 150 million kilometers away and converting it into usable energy. No combustion, no fuel tankers, just physics, engineering, and sheer persistence. And so when you step back, it's a reminder of what collective human capability looks like when we decide to solve something together. For decades, the story around endangered animals has felt one-directional, shrinking numbers, vanishing habitats, permanent loss. But in parts of the world, that trend is quietly reversed. Take, for instance, humpback whales, once hunted to near extinction, have rebounded so strongly that the species is now listed globally as least concern. In some regions, the population has returned to a large share of their pre-whaling levels. And it's not just the whales. Earlier this year, giant tortoises were reintroduced to Florina Island in the Galapagos for the first time in nearly 150 years. Now, the original population had been wiped out by overexploitation and invasive species. Now, their return didn't happen naturally. It followed years of captive breeding, ecosystem restoration, invasive species control, and international coordination. Now, the common thread here isn't luck. It's intervention. You see, governments collectively agreed to ban commercial whaling. Conservationists restored habitats. Scientists tracked recovery for decades. And so when humans change behavior through, learning from past mistakes and adjusting course, entire populations begin to rebuild. And so these recoveries suggest something a lot more hopeful. When we take responsibility and stay the course, the damage doesn't have to be permanent. So while conservationists are restoring species here at home, scientists are doing something just as extraordinary in the opposite direction, looking deeper into our universe than ever before. The James Webb telescope is the most powerful space telescope ever built. It sits about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth, orbiting the sun using a giant gold-coated mirror to collect faint light from extremely distant objects in space. Now, its mission is to see farther, clearer, and deeper than any other telescope before it, to understand how galaxies form, how stars are born, and how planets take shape. And what it's been sending back is extraordinary. It has photographed enormous star-forming regions where new suns are being born right now, giving us a front row seat to the kind of process that once formed our own solar system. We are literally reading the chemical makeup of worlds that we cannot see with the naked eye, analyzing these faint traces of light to understand what these distant planets are made of. And so that level of precision across distances measured in trillions upon trillions of kilometers, it's almost difficult to understand. And yet we designed it with our brains, we built it with our hands, and it's working. Now, there's something quite remarkable about the contrast here. So at the same time that humankind is learning how to restore ecosystems on Earth, we're also decoding signals from the edge of the observable universe. And so we're protecting what's close, but we're reaching for what's far. And this curiosity and responsibility ingrained within us, they aren't opposites. They're two sides of the same coin. A little over a century ago, most humans on Earth could not read or write. Global literacy rates were somewhere between 20 and 30%. Today, more than 85% of the world's population is literate. So this means that billions of people across continents, languages, and cultures can now access written knowledge, participate in modern economies, and educate the next generation. Now, this didn't happen by accident. It came from decades of public school expansion, teacher training, textbook production, literacy campaigns, and international cooperation. In many regions, girls' education, once restricted or ignored, expanded dramatically. And more recently, digital access has accelerated that reach. Approximately 6 billion people now use the internet, giving unprecedented access to learning tools, online courses, and information that once only lived in universities and libraries. Now, it's easy to underestimate what that means. You see, reading is the foundation of science, law, medicine, journalism, everything. And so when a society becomes literate, it doesn't just consume knowledge, it produces it. Solar powers, wildlife conservation, space telescopes. None of that happens without education. None of that happens without literacy. Protecting what's close, reaching for what's far. And so teaching billions of people to read might be one of humankind's quietest but most remarkable achievements. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to pull back the curtain for a moment. You know, we passed our 1,000th video this week. 9 months, 1,000 videos, and that's been a lot of early mornings, a lot of scripts, a lot of recording, and a lot of days of not missing a single one. And so for a while, it was just me creating all the videos, but now we've got a small team, Anshay, Marley, Sean, Philip, and I'm incredibly grateful for them. But I'll be honest, it's been 10 times harder than I thought it'd be, and doing something every single day comes with sacrifices that you don't always think about or don't always see. But in saying that though, things are going well. We've grown faster than expected. We've stayed consistent. We've built something real. But I've realized something recently. When you work so closely to something every single day, it's hard to see it clearly. And so with that in mind, I feel like something might be missing, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if we're moving too fast or not fast enough, or if we're moving in the wrong direction, or if it's about me being more personal or going deeper, or changing nothing at all. I don't know. All I know is that I'm not feeling the same way that I'd felt at the start, and I've learned not to ignore that gut feeling. You know, I know in my heart that Daily Bagel can do a lot, maybe more than we're currently asking of it, and so I just don't want to drift into autopilot just because the current system works. So I'm saying this out loud. If you've been watching, what should we become? What feels right? What feels like it's missing? What would make you watch this show day in and day out? We've built this very quickly, and maybe we need to start shaping it more deliberately. And in closing, for those of you who are about to complain because we didn't do a bagel bite of the day, I'm going to one-up you. We have just launched our bagel quiz. It comes out every Thursday evening. Links to it will either be in our YouTube description or in our Instagram broadcast channel. Now, the bagel bites will continue throughout the week, but Thursday night, that's the night for the bagel quiz. All the best. And my friends, that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed the good news. Otherwise, I hope you guys have yourself a fantastic Friday, a rejuvenating weekend, and we'll catch you all on Sunday evening for the next round of the good stuff. God bless.